Hello and welcome to the Toronto Ultra Merk and Maven podcast. This is season 2, episode 1. I'm sure you missed us terribly. We were getting stuff figured out. We're ready to get locked in. We had a lot of fun with the last CDL season, and we're ready to get it going again. Joe, how you doing, sweetheart?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I know the roommates were out of town. It was just me and Copper for the last few days to just hang out with the pup, trying to get a little bit of sun, so I don't look like an absolute vampire on camera for the event.
I'll tell you what, in terms of like usually us recording when you're at home, you look pretty good right now. Like usually you're like with the lighting, like I could see some orange tint on you. You look pretty good. I'm proud of you. I'll be honest. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you. I don't look like Lord Voldemort like that one cast.
Yes.
Yes. That was amazing. But how's life going with the wife and the new baby Theo? Absolute beast.
I mean, it's pretty nuts, but it's going well. Last night was a big night for us. It was the first night he slept the entire night, from 8 a.m. to 5:45 straight. And he's been sleeping well, but like they still have this thing where you just kind of like soothe them back to bed. Like they'll wake up like 2, but you just kind of like hold them for a sec and then they relax and go back to bed for an hour or 2. But you have to keep doing that.
Yeah.
That like still messes with you. This was straight shot, like no noises, nothing. I was like, I looked at my phone and about cried the happiest tears of my life.
Yeah, I've been impressed. I text Joe to try and gas him every day because he's usually like, I can just tell I hop in his stream. I'm like, this guy is just tired. He's just,
Dude.
Full-time husband, full-time dad,
Woo.
trying to get the full-time stream grind on, especially with ranked and stuff right now. Like you have to go hard all day.
All day.
Yeah,
like hour 4 comes through and I'm like, dude, wow, am I exhausted? Like I gotta power through this, but it's been fun though, man. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Well, speaking of that, that's one thing we're going to touch on. We're just going to, we want to get to talking about the major, obviously, but we're just going to touch on kind of the state of Warzone 2, where we're at since season 2. Talk about rank play, because that's been kind of the big thing going on with the community right now. It's been incredible to see. And then sort of talk about qualifiers in the bracket. I mean, I don't think we're going to touch on this too long, but let's kick it off. Let's get into it. We're going to start with just talking about Warzone 2. I know you haven't been playing really any of it because you've been mostly grinding ranked. I've actually been enjoying this time just playing single player games and stuff since Warzone 2 is something right now, Joe. It is something.
Yeah, I mean, when rank came out, I think sort of the thought process from a content creator standpoint, streaming was like half and half. Just like worried, as streaming numbers wise. I think everybody that's just always on like a sort of a streamer's mind. And Warzone is kind of where we've built our community up, but they've really been all in on ranked. And honestly, I think with season 2, we were hoping for a good amount of changes. There was the introduction of a Ashika Island, which I think a lot of people were excited for. There were some changes like the armor plate stuff, but there needs to be a lot more. This season introduced a fire shotgun again, which is absolutely insane. And I just think still at the core of its game, there is a lot of issues. I think we just kind of talked about that with sort of the DMZ and the way Infinity Ward kind of went with this title, especially around Warzone. It just, I mean, I've said it numerous times playing Warzone 2. It didn't feel like COD to me. It just did not feel like COD to me. A lot of the animation, sprint to fire, there were just things when I played it, I was like, this is not the game I've been playing for 15 years. Yeah, there's a lot of outcry right now.
Well, it's crazy because it does a lot of the changes. I try not to be too negative about stuff, and there are a lot of really good changes. But the thing I said, like after playing it for a week or 2, I'm like, it's insane, like how much changed in a positive way. But it still feels like you're playing the same game because it's still just LMGs for the most part all over the place. It's this fire shotgun, which is insane. So the time to kill still, it was already insane. Now it feels even crazier because like the Seiken like hits harder than the RPK. The shotgun kills you in 2 shots. Like it's just weird. I guess that so much can change, but you still feel like you're playing the same thing. It's kind of unreal. But this has been super enjoyable for me. So I've just been kind of vibing out, playing whatever.
This is kind of just I think just maybe a discussion of sort of when they always try to add, right? Every time there's a new season, it's introducing a new weapon. And they talked about it with Warzone 1. really it just became bloated, right? With like the 3 titles, there was over 100 weapons, and
Yeah.
I think sort of the discussion was like, how do we limit that? At least that's what it felt like. But it's really tough after you Warzone 1 and you kind of figure it out what the community likes, what they don't like fire shotgun. Like, I know at some point there's got to be like a shotgun that kind of makes its way in. It really helps mouse and keyboard players. I understand that. But a 25 round shotgun that 2 to 3 bullets across a very long range, LMGs constantly, it just feels like you're not helping yourself. Like, we don't want to repeat a ton from Warzone 1, but we're repeating a ton from Warzone 1. And it's not the
Yeah.
good things.
Yeah, I don't mind, like, we've touched on it in the past, like a new gun coming out, it being a little like OP from time to time. Like when, like the SPR or something as an example, it came out. It was kind of nuts. It was like fun to use, awful to die to, but it was like fun for a week. But it's just when stuff continues on. Like I've had fun with the Hemlock. Like I've had a pretty good time. Like on a Sheik, I'll use that, and it's great. But like the shotgun's just, dude, it's literally like it's like the Doof and the Origin had a baby, bro. It's insane.
Yeah, but I would even think with like the Hemlock, right? Like similar to maybe like a Grawl. Like, it just feels like the community is behind like maybe a stronger AR. Like the LMGs right now is just another thing. Like, I just don't want to be honest, I don't want to load up, play Warzone, run into bots, run into fire shotguns and LMGs. Like we were doing that for 3-4 months. It's just it's in a really tough spot.
Yeah, no, it seems like most people are frustrated. We'll see. I mean, I guess the positive changes that came in season 1, you kind of hope that they'll continue to be positive changes. But for right now, I'm chilling. I'm playing other stuff. But all right, let's get into the fun stuff, which I think has been very cool. Now,
Wait, you were talking Warzone, right?
Oh, I guess we can. Yeah, I mean, there was a tweet from like what? It was like, was it like an Activision?
It was in the blog. It was in the blog. It was in the season 2
there was a
blog.
tweet. Oh, see, I saw a tweet that got deleted by like
Yeah, that was before the blog came out. That was before the blog came out. So basically, like in season 3, yeah, you didn't read it, I know. In season 3, here's the tweet as well. Warzone ranked season 3 and beyond. We always know with the seasons, they bring like gunfight, plunder, but yeah, Warzone ranked, kind of the one circled there. And I think after ranked, I'm just a little worried. Obviously, we'll get into ranked play, but lots of cheaters. But here's the thing with the cheaters in regular ranked, in multiplayer, there's still a paywall there, right? There's a $70 paywall there. If an account gets banned, especially just like the real mean cheaters that we ran to like on Verdansk a lot, like they're not just gonna go and remake an account. Like there might be a kid who's trying to make his way up through challengers and is like, all right, I got caught. I'm an idiot. Let me try to redo this the right way. But like the people who are just sadistic and want to do it over and over and over again out of their pleasure, that is the worrisome with Warzone ranked. The free to play, dealing with cheaters, anytime it gets a little bit more serious, that is where it gets very concerning.
Yeah, the only thing I can think, and I mean, I don't know if they go this route. I can't remember exactly how it went with like CS:GO, but they added like that Prime thing or whatever it was called. They add like other ways to increase security. Like I don't know, just for an example, they put ranked behind a paywall. I mean, I don't know if that would ever be a thing. But yeah, I can't even be excited for it because it's just weird. You see so many in ranked, and granted, the Almost was not as bad as like Prime Verdansk with hackers. It's not like every single game, but it's way more than Caldera. Like I don't know what's going on with Ricochet. I'm not really sure what the deal is, but Caldera, I think I ran into like, how long did we play it for? I don't know how many months total. But like I think I died to 1, maybe 2 like blatant aim lockers. Like,
it felt like when it was there, like we felt like something. Like, immediately there was an update or like a playlist update, and it was fixed. Like it felt like they shut it off.
And it's just been like steady in this one. Like not as bad as Warzone, not enough to like make me like rage off each day, but like you just run into a couple a day. And God knows how many are in there that you're not seeing or not running into, because it's tough. Where like ranked, I think it's pretty obvious when you have one, because you get a lot of kill cams. You run into this person 40 times a map type thing, or your whole team kind of notices something. when you're playing Warzone, like you might get like one kill cam. If you don't get to spectate him, it's like, okay, maybe that was a goofy kill cam, maybe not. It's like it's harder to tell. But I ranked, dude. It's just with the way this game plays. I mean, it'd be really fun to play for something and feel the. I mean, it still feels good to win on the big map for me versus like a Sheikah. Like it still feels nice to go on a win streak and do a nuke, and like there's still pressure in game and it's crazy and all. And I think that'd be very cool in rank. It's just like adds on to the pressure. But with so many things about this game right now, like, whew.
Yeah, I mean, there's that, and then I'm just curious the system they kind of come up with. You know, Apex is sort of, you know, maybe the one ranked BR a lot of people pay attention to. They sort of have like a kill participation mixed with placement. You get more points, and like their pros kind of at times don't like some of the things because when you have like too much kill participation, it kind of there's not really an end game. That's just around Apex. With 150 players, I don't really know how it's going to work. I don't know how the system's going to work. I would assume it's probably just going to be based off of final placement.
That's my assumption too.
But there's no way you think like, all right, when we think ranked, like you play a rank or two above or below you with 150 players. There's no way it's like that, right? Like, don't you think you're probably going to play every rank?
I don't know. I mean, how many players is it in Apex?
60.
Like a third of that, yeah.
And at the top, like the Apex Predators, sometimes depending on the time, they have a queue. Like it's not always instant.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
And that's the one thing with COD. COD's always like, we want to get you in the game as fast as possible. It's always been built into their matchmaking system.
Yeah. So I mean, usually it's how it works. It's like, you know, they try to match up your MMR as best as you can, but they also try to get in the game fast. So it's a pretty quick window of that growing. So yeah, you think with 150 people, it's gonna be pretty mixed lobbies, I would think.
Yeah, that's my assumption. I mean, I guess we'll see.
And how do you handle the scoring there based on placement versus who's in the lobby when you have that much variation? I have no idea. But
no idea. I think it's gonna probably be pretty simple to start. Like just an SR based on like your sort of finished placement. Like maybe if you get top 10, you get some points. Maybe top 20, you get some points.
Yeah.
If you win, you get the most. Doubt there'll be a rule set. There's never one for World Series of Warzone. I don't think there's going to be anything like that. I mean, we had like Iron Trials.
Yeah, I was going to say they did stuff like that. And I guess we kind of always thought your Titanium Trials, Iron Trials was like their crack at what like a more competitive thing would look like. So I don't know. I wouldn't say it's impossible that the rank has features like that.
I just don't expect it.
Yeah, I guess I don't either. But just adding, I mean, honestly, just upping the base like health and stuff and time to kill would be probably fantastic. Like that alone. Because not much else changed, if I remember correctly, in like Iron Trials. I mean, I know the floor loot was a little bit different and stuff like that, but it was mostly around just the time to kill. Because you had what Iron Trials, which was more health, and one which was more plates, or however the hell it worked.
Yeah, but the ground loot stuff was different. They had certain tacticals that were allowed and weren't allowed. Like there was like some differences there for sure. Yeah, but I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. It's like part of me wants to get excited for it, but it's one of those things I have to wait and see because it's like impossible for me to envision how it is good. Just right now, it's really tough to just be positive in general about Warzone. Honestly, let's get into what's been very very cool. It's been, dude. Joe and I had like a 30 to 45 minute phone conversation about this the other day, just laughing. Like, it's just I think what we've always said is just like we know that Call of Duty is always going to appeal to the casual side, and that at times when there's been ranked, you know, I'm sure the population's not where the developer wants to see it because like we have it 1 year, we don't have it the next year. You have it 1 year close to launch, next time it comes out halfway through the title. They're completely different types of like MMR rules. Like it just changed all the time. So like we've always said, like, hey, if they come out with a good one and you know it's continuous, like that's the only real chance it's going to have. And it's just been. We now have back-to-back years and Treyarch at the helm. And you know, like this is now going to be like a core of the title or so for the first time ever, it seems like it. And it's just like, wow, what do you know? Viewership has been incredible for a lot of these content creators. People are very excited and playing it. There's a very positive outlook just on multiplayer for ranked. I know it has its issues, but overall everyone's like, hell yeah. what do you know? Shocking. You do it right, and here we are. Like,
Yeah, I mean, here's a shot of all the different ranks. The top 250 leaderboard is awesome. The rewards, I mean, I think they could be better, but I think it's a good start. Um, there's sort of the ranks that you can kind of go through. Ranks just kind of the level. There's your SR. Um, yeah, I just think that this is awesome having the CDL players on the top 250. I think it's just amazing. Um, but it's just again a big shout out to Treyarch for doing this. Again, Vanguard it was a very similar system. I just don't think the hype was there around that title, and it also really helps this sort of state of Warzone. What we just talked about, where your content creators, even your fan base. I mean, I've had so many people in my stream just talk about, yeah, I'm playing ranked. I'm having more fun playing this. Uh, this is kind of COD to me, and the momentum is shifting that way, and it's just crazy to me. Like, we've been waiting so long. Like, it is so weird to me that I'm hopping on stream and playing 7 hours of competitive COD, like against
yeah,
pros. It's your top players when you get to that rank. We've just been waiting so long. I feel like I'm in a dream. Like, I really do. Just
yeah,
waiting for this moment. It's amazing, and obviously there's going to be shifts. Um, but I think with any title outside of Call of Duty that doesn't yearly release, whether you talk about, your leagues or your Counter Strikes or Apexes, the way you bring your fan bases back in and sort of, keep people engaged has always been a rank system. Like, it is frustrating as hell, but people get sucked in. They want to get better. They want rewards. And with a good rank system, what a lot of times what happens, I know with my friends, like, we go on a 2-month bender where we're playing CS, and then, maybe we stop playing for a couple of months. But then, like, someone's like, hey, you want to play some CS? Like, and you just get right back into it. And I think for the longevity of multiplayer, since there's so much discussion around that at COD at the helm right now, it is the one way where it has the spotlight. Like, there's going to be a ton of Warzone and DMZ content, and maybe you're not a ton of multiplayer content, but ranked is sort of right there. That it's at the middle, kind of leading the way for multiplayer, and I think it should be that way.
no, I just think the little stuff, like you said, just seeing like the players' photos, and maybe there's ways that they can. Because I guess I always, the reason I've always wanted to rank, I haven't even played ranked. I've just really enjoyed watching people play it. Like, it's helped me learn at times, listening to you guys like go through stuff and learn stuff as you play better and better people. It's just been really enjoyable for me to watch. I'm just 38 years old. I'm not trying to play 15-year-old crackheads every day and sweat my ass off. That doesn't appeal to me anymore. But it's been very, very, very fun for me. Every night, like once I'm done streaming, whatever stupid single player game I'm streaming, I am literally hopping in different pros streams, your stream, just hopping around, seeing how stuff is going. And I think though, like I've worked on the CWL, CDL, MLG. I've worked on this thing for like almost 10 years now. Like, I've always wanted more relationship between like the game and our league. And yes, this is sort of, a step that it's unreal. It took this long, but just seeing the players there and fans having the chance to play against these people. And maybe if it's somebody new that dabbles in it and you see one of those players' profiles and it ends up directing you to the CDL, or you're watching the CDL and it maybe gets you involved in ranked, like that give and take, like it's something we've lacked. And I guess I'm just really excited it's there. And again, it all comes back to just like, we've had a good ranked before. I mean, not many, but we've had a good ranked before.
Yeah.
I mean, back to World War II is always the one that kind of comes to mind. But even back then, like, you just weren't really excited about the future because you had zero faith that was going to carry into the next title. Now we do. And I think that is the one thing for me that just helps me actually feel excitement, not like this is just a blip on the radar. And you would
100%.
think it's just going to get better. I mean, it's cool.
Yeah, you'd think so. And, shout out to all the pros, the CDL pros turning their streams on. I think this is an opportunity to build your fan base up. Something we always talk about, which is tough. Like, when you watch COD, it's always like we put out a KD number of a 1.2, and maybe a casual tuning in, they have like a 2.0 KD, right? Playing pubs, and they're like, oh, I could do this. I think if you're playing ranked and then you go and watch a pro or you match up against a pro, you will see the difference between these guys. I mean, even for me, just like playing some of the top challengers guys, playing some pros now, running into them. I mean, I'm getting shit on. And I think to like some of my viewers, it's sort of like, whoa, because they just don't understand that gap. And it is very apparent. Now, these guys got 4 months on me in a couple of years, but yeah, maybe in a couple months I catch up. But no, it's crazy to see how talented they are.
I think one of the most impressive things for me, and this is when it comes to some of like the S tier talents, but the ones I'll watch a lot because it's like maybe laugh or like chilling is like an Octane or a Shotzi, and like when I watch you guys play, like it is
We're going hard.
Yes, you guys are going hard. You are common. You're trying to fix things. Every call out is there. Like you guys are dialed in, and like you win some, you lose some. You're getting better. You're having fun, but like you have. If you aren't locked at all times, you're gonna get shit on. Like like where you're at right now. And then I'll go to like a Shotzi's or an Octane stream, and I know they're just in this like S tier. I get it, but like when you see, I hopped into Sam's stream one time. He was dressed up as a maid. He was dressed up as a maid, Joe, like a maid outfit because he had like.
I watched that, but yeah, he's just chilling there, back there playing.
So there, he's got music playing, and there'll be a whole game where he doesn't talk about the game once or call out, and he's playing against like very good players and just dropping 40 to 50 like with his eyes closed. Like it's just it. I think for a lot of people, like I get that, like I understand that has been a thing, why that's a thing, but I think to your point, like if you are one of those like aspiring people that's been like, oh, I could do that. Bro, if you just watch like their demeanor, like it's bonkers to me. Like just how casual they can be and just shit on everyone. It's impressive. It is. And
yeah, I mean,
you said, well, real quick, you said the whole content thing. I wanted to touch on this. I forgot to. Like,
sure.
You mentioned like how it's been great to turn their streams on. Like that has been a big conversation for whether it's been the OpTic players or any player, like trying to balance that. And it's always been around. The reason it's been difficult is because the only thing you had was scrims, right?
Or eights. Yeah, and that's tough.
Scrims are eights, and eights are whatever. They can be fun to watch, but there's like nothing on the line exactly, and there's a lot more trolly stuff going on. Versus, you kind of want to go hard and rank because you want to be in the top 250. But like, there was always that. Sometimes you would stream scrims, you'd end up turning them off midway through the season. They felt like there was nothing you can do. Like, this is just a very good thing that people want to watch, and it's easy to stream. And now they have something. Like I'm just happy for them. Like, I'm not even playing it. I'm just so happy for everybody because it's just like I can tell people are having a great time. It's cool.
Yeah, and I think it's a mix too because with eights it's sort of the same thing for them. They're going hard. I think what ranked really is for the top players is it's a bit of a mix where like you're gonna have some matchups with some of the pros and they're gonna want to go hard, and then they're gonna not have those matchups and they're gonna mess around and troll, and their personalities are really gonna start to come out, and you're going to see these guys have a blast and do some trolly things that are just hilarious. And we've had so many of those moments already. So, yeah, just happy for this raid play. But I think one thing we do have to talk about again is the anti-cheat with Ricochet. I don't know if they are okay. So I think the biggest thing is just the walling. It feels like Ricochet does a really good job with their system or whatever with sort of the aim lockers, is sort of whatever the percentages they catch on to. The problem is someone or something is getting around sort of the walling side of it. And I don't know the answer to it. I don't know if it needs to be
everything, bro.
more invasive, which is what we've talked about before. But it's does have to be better. And again, we have the paywall, which is a good thing. And, if we run into them or some pros run into them, we have like some CDL contacts, we can send those in, or you just report in game and they can get looked at. But it is a way to discourage people from continuing to play. I do have pros tweeting about it, during the day, at night. It just sucks for them at the high ranks. You're running into those players, and that discourages your fan base from wanting to continue to play. Like, just think of like Halo. Remember, Halo was killing it at the start, and then like the cheaters came through. And even for me, I was like, I can't do this. Like, this sucks. So that just simply needs to be in a better position.
Has it improved at all, or has it been pretty much the same like level, you'd say? Like since it dropped?
I think maybe it's gotten a little better, but I don't know if that's because we've just gotten people banned.
Well, that I guess that's the way I'm kind of wondering is like, because of the paywall, it comes out right away. It's like the hot thing. Like a lot of people are cheating. Like, I would think over time, as people get banned
It
and
would get
having to pay
better.
well, it would get better. So hopefully, even maybe without like some, listen, I would love for Ricochet to be the most perfect Apex cheat of all time. But I guess I'm just wondering, like, as we get deeper into this, if it just keeps steadily improving just by nature of the paywall. Because that's even like, because what CS:GO was what, like $20 a lot of the times, or it would have like the sale where it would drop to like $5 or whatever it was. And I just remember every time there was a sale, I'm like, I'm not playing. I'm not playing. Like, it's not happening. And that was when it was only $20. So I would think that having like the whatever $60, $70 paywall like that should in itself be like good enough with like an okay NA cheat to over time make it okay. Or so I hope. Well, I guess we'll see. But
Yeah.
dude, I sometimes I was watching you guys like the first week it came out. I was literally getting like CS PTSD, bro. Where it's just like every death you're like.
And the problem is too, you're like there's
Audio
loudness
sheets.
EQ.
Yeah.
You're watching kill cams and you know, I don't know. And it sucks because like I try not to do it, but like there was a day it was really bad. And then like you're running into some kids who just might be good. And then I get a clip 3 hours later. Oh, you guys think I'm cheating? Like, and I try not to be like the person. I'm like, maybe this guy's cheating, maybe he's not. Like, I think he is. Maybe he just isn't. But it sucks like when you get like that tweet and it's like, listen, man, like I don't know, like we had 6 games prior to that where there was obvious wallers. Like, I don't know what to tell you. I tell you what though, if you're on wall, you probably got loudness EQ on. So yeah, screw you, guy.
Well, I think that, yeah, like the audio side of it, plus like the kill cams can be kind of like laggy or like sped up at times. Like they'll look really weird. It's just like it's tough to tell. And like I mean, I've been there just in Warzone. Like once you start like questioning it, bro, it's just really hard to like get it out of your head. It just is. So,
Yeah, and I feel like a jerk. I do, but it's just like part of the streamer side of it. It's like these guys stream sniping type thing. Like it does suck. But yeah, hopefully that continues to get better. I think just again for the state and the sort of state of COD. Like, because listen, like if it doesn't get better, like I said, Warzone ranks probably to be crazy, and I guess for regular ranks, maybe that's not the worst thing in the world if people are continue to play this.
yeah, because it's also a thing where like, you know, you're seeing a lot of it with people. I mean, I think this happened even with Warzone. Like we would complain about cheaters like all the time. And a lot of it was stream sniping stuff or like, you know, just based on our invisible elo, what we were playing at. Like I would guess for more average players playing in like diamond and below, it's probably not as bad. Would be my guess. I could
know.
I could
I
be
have people
completely
in
wrong.
chat talking about it all the time.
Oh, maybe,
so.
maybe it is then. Maybe it is. But a lot of times, sometimes like what you're experiencing and like iridescent is not necessarily what like others are. So maybe it's a little bit better there. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, just changes for it. Just like quick, just maybe like one thing I kind of wanted to touch on because I play every day. And I don't know if this will ever be a thing, but I know people come to my chat asking me about solo, duo, maybe like a separate playlist. My only sort of complaint, I don't even think it's a complaint, is that when you're a 4 stack, and I think for the most part everyone's trying to 4 stack, and I get like you don't want to have to not play with your friends, right? Because then that stings. You feel like, my team's horrible. In a lot of other games playing ranked, that is probably the biggest complaint, right? Like if the game forces solo duo, it's just tough. You can get in the blender, you get bad teammates, whether it's Overwatch, League, CS, go down the line. We've all been there. I would just like to say this. If they are going to keep it this way, there needs to be a priority of 4 stacks playing 4 stacks. Because even when I have a 4 stack on my team, like I know it sucks for the other team who are playing as maybe 2 duos or just all solos. I know it'll probably slow down the matchmaking, and that's probably what it comes down to at the basis of it.
It does.
But
Yeah.
I think 4 stacks should only match up against 4 stacks, or maybe we just have a solo duo separate rank. Just I don't know. I'm sure they have the data. Just maybe something they need to touch on.
Well, what did it? How did it work with World War II? Because I remember when you got to high ranks, you'd be waiting like 5 minutes for a game.
It was you could only duo.
You could only duo. Okay.
You could only duo in World War II.
I was trying to remember how it worked.
Up to duo.
Then that, I mean, if that was like that, Joe, with already being able to only duo, imagine like how it would be if what you're saying, like if only 4 stacks play 4 stacks, like I mean, people were waiting pretty long. It's just one of those things where you have to. Not everyone's going to agree on it. Like whether you want to wait like 5+ minutes for more balanced games, or you want to just get into game quickly, you'd have some shitty ones. You don't. I don't know. There's
Well, I
like
think it's something of like I just think at the highest ranks, like maybe you try to force stack. If it doesn't work, you have to split into 2-2s. I don't know. I'm not.
yeah, yeah, maybe.
I don't know if
It's
that's the
always a
right
tricky one.
answer. Yeah, it's. I'm sure it's tough. I'm sure they have the data that says like this is probably the best way. You get the matches the fastest. I just know like when we have a 4-stacker, we're going up against 4 solos. We're probably gonna win that. Like just the way it is.
Yeah.
So
No.
this is less for me and maybe for the community who's trying to solo or duo. They don't always have friends who are on. Just curious.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I wouldn't mind them just like trying it like that and just seeing what the queue times are like. Just be like kind of transparent about it. Like, hey, we're trying this with a different matchmaking algorithm. See how it goes. See what feedback's like, type thing. I don't know. I mean, just kind of
And maybe it's just all the way up to iridescent, and then maybe at iridescent and top 250, it's only duo plus. Like maybe that's it. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Um, we talked about the anti cheat. Yeah, that was one of your big kind of maybe changes for the future. I mean, I guess we both want rank to stay like this. So I guess we're kind of thinking like what improvements or how does it stay a staple? I mean, I think the big thing and the thing we needed for a long time is just one dev committed to a formula that's going to continue. And I feel like we have that right now with Treyarch. So whether that was Treyarch pushing forward, it came from the publisher side, the CDL pressure. I don't know how it all came together, but thank God. And thank God it's them handling it. I guess one thing well, I guess this is more changes for the future. One thing I guess I'd kind of like, and I don't know how far it can go, but I mentioned that I do really like how it'll show the pro players in there and like have their picture and stuff. I guess, you know, I always, the only time that I think like it was back in the CWL days where it was sort of in your face a little bit more was probably Black Ops 3, where like you had the in-game viewer. It wasn't perfect by any means, but it put it there more for people to see. Whereas now I feel like we're still sort of like tucked away if you want to find anything about the CDL. I think ranked definitely has the biggest tie-in like to what we do. So I don't know. I guess I hope eventually they can take it steps further, whether it's like and I know I'm sure on the tech side, you know, anything I want is tricky, but like, you know, when you go look at like Draza, who's whatever, let's say he's 50th, and like you pull him up and there's a button you can hit that maybe what it brings you to his socials or shows his socials. You can see what his next upcoming match is, like what their record is, like more tie-in to the CDL, maybe like the most recent VOD of a match. The more they can do stuff like that, because there are a lot of games that have more of like a browser base built in, whereas you can hit something, brings you to a browser and takes you to stuff, and that's not really ever been a thing with COD. But I guess the more that it can connect people to pros and then connect that to the CDL, I think would be very cool. I don't know, it's perfect. That's just one thing that I guess I would like to see kind of maybe advance as time goes on.
Yeah, I think that would be dope. Maybe like multiple top 250s, like an NA and like rest of the world. So like more people have the spotlight. Because like the top 250 right now, it's just the entire population.
That just should be separated to begin with, in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe they just didn't know how many people were going to play. So that would be pretty cool. And then I think rewards is always kind of the biggest thing. Sort of you go into a game, how did that player get that? Maybe the ranked is sort of your ranked symbol is just in regular pubs to show it off. I think any way we can try to get a regular casual player playing ranked is going to be the best way possible. Just at least have them try it out. Maybe they don't know what it is. And I've had a couple of people in my chat, like I tried ranked. There's a lot of things I just didn't know. So I think that's a good thing, but it could be difficult.
And that's even back to, I think we had some of this in the CDL. It's another tie-in sort of the CDL side, whether it's they bring it in from players or it's like basic tutorial videos. Because I think one of the hardest things it's always been for COD is just we have a very casual fan base. Getting them to play ranked or enjoy ranked is tough. It's just COD's always been that game. Whoever of whatever age, whatever part of the world, you can pick up and play it for 10 minutes if you want. Like it's a super casual game. Like ways to bring them in more. And I'm sure it's very overwhelming at first. So I don't know whether it's like a quick CDL video or a whatever Treyarch video that's just sort of here's the basics of Hardpoint or here's this. Like it's just little stuff like that. I think could go a long way because I'm sure the first time you hop in, Yeah, it could probably be a little bit much, I'm sure.
Yeah, why are these things banned? Like they just don't really get that sort of thing. Like why, you go to a stream sometimes on the COD stream, it's like, why are they only using these couple of weapons, this and that? And I totally get those questions. Like I understand it. It can be a lot. Like if you're just a casual player who is
Yeah.
using all sorts of different weapons and equipment, this and that. And but yeah, hopefully this momentum continues.
Yeah, I
Or at
think
least stay
overall, like
steady. Just stay steady.
yeah, I think overall we're like I said, I'm not even playing. I think it's awesome. Like it's
Yeah.
dude, every night. That's what I like. Well, I haven't even watched like shows or anything recently because that's what I was watching. And I just hop between people and I see some tears, some joy. I see it all. I mean, it's a lot of fun.
Just got me the itch, dude. Like it'll be the weekend. I'll be like, can I go play a couple games? I just when's the last time I've had that in COD? I don't
Yeah.
know if I ever have. Like it's been a really long time. Like usually it's in other games like where that's happening.
Yeah, for me, it was always like a yeah. Like last time for me was probably like CS that I really just had the itch to get super
Overwatch,
good at and
something
play
like
it a
that.
ton. So we'll see. I mean, again, just happy. Happy this is something we think is going to continue for the first time ever. Thank the lords instead of just some dev like, oh, that was pretty cool last time. Let's just change the whole thing. Uh,
Shout out
all right.
Treyarch.
Yeah, shout out Treyarch. Thank you, God. Would we exist without them? Probably not. All right. You want to start getting into talking about like qualifiers and the upcoming major, which I don't have to travel to because I live here in Dallas. And it's
Yeah,
wonderful.
let's get it. We've had what a pretty good qualifier, pretty solid qualifier throughout. There were some team changes coming into this, but what do you want to do? Just show the bracket, maybe final qualifier standings into the bracket,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
we'll
And then
just
we just
start
kind
from
of
the
go through
matchups.
teams. Yeah, sort of talk about each team and kind of what our thoughts are. I mean, it's been a weird qualifier. Just if you even look back to the final day, like every favorite lost. This is I said to you, and listen, I don't want to like this come off as I'm like downplaying the league, and it's been fun to watch. Viewership's been nuts, especially with like Seth's watch party and the flank and various stuff. But like I have been a person, I think you've sort of been close to it too, where I've always thought the online versus LAN thing is overplayed a bit. Like results wise, have typically been pretty close to what they will be on LAN. I know it's frustrating, but this is the first time that it's like it's not a latency or a ping thing. It's just like with the loudness equalization stuff, like it's just a different game than it is on LAN. So this is the first time where I see like a lot of times I would see a player tweet like, "Oh, wait till we're on LAN." I'd be like, "Shut up, bitch! Like, stop being a little mental goddamn idiot and just tough it up a bit." But now I'm sort of like, "Yeah, yeah, I get it. You probably are pumped to be on LAN." That's the first time I've ever felt like that, honestly. So
Even without the loudness EQ, like something with sound factoring like that, like when you get to land, it's always been different. Like when there's been some like sound horny
crowd noise.
aspects to a game, because crowd noise, it's not a perfect audio setup. Like you have white noise pumping in. It's not the best audio when you're on the main stage. It just isn't. Like um so it's just a different environment where you're in your team facility. It's peace and quiet behind you. You got your mix amp cranked to 100, and you could sound horn pretty much anything and everything, even without the whole settings thing. I don't even know what this thing is, but I can't do it because I'm on a dual PC setup. All I know is I've seen some clips and people get to hear people across the map. It's
Oh, no,
insane.
you can do it if you're the one. So I can help you with that job. But yeah, no,
No, I'm
you can
good.
do it. No,
I'm
I
good.
wouldn't. I never really bothered. I tried it one time. I was like, it just sounds horrible. I was like, nah, this is not for me. It's just I don't know. It's good in some situations, but
Some
it sounds like
cheese. It's
shit.
some cheese.
Yeah, no, it really is. What do you want
Just
to
show
kind of
the
show?
bracket. Go through the
Yeah, yeah,
bracket.
yeah. Show the bracket. Just like the round one matchups are all really good. I know that's going to be the case with the competitives of the league, but you've got what Surge Gorillas, FaZe Thieves, Breach OpTic, Ultra Subliners in the winners side of it, and I guess I feel like any of those have the potential to go either way right now, which is kind of I guess an awesome feeling. We were talking about round one matchups, and then in losers, Legion, Rokkr, Ravens, and Mutineers. But yeah, I'm down to kind of just go team by team and sort of chat about some of the good, some of the bad, where they're kind of at right now. I just want to kick it off from top to bottom. We can start things off with Surge.
Yeah, let's start with Surge LAG. I mean, they get the number one seed, does Seattle Surge. First of all, props to them. A big bounce back. I think after Major 2, Stage 2, it was horrendous for them. They kind of had what they went through last year, where they would have a really good performance, go back home, just not be the same Seattle Surge team. And it happened again. But this time, I think it was a little bit different with the whole maybe Preds leaving. Are we rebuilding our team? Are we not rebuilding our team? And let's be honest, throughout stage two and major two, they were 0-8 in search and destroy, which I think that's impressive enough because this might be the worst search game of all time, where like you think you would at least get a win just based on like maybe some timings going your way with dead silence, making plays. But they kind of locked
I
back
don't know if it's
in.
worse than last year. I'm not sure.
It definitely is. It absolutely is.
Oh, dude, I don't know.
Dude, this is the most one bomb centric
Yeah, I just like
maps of all time.
last year was search was, dude. I don't know.
This was rough, brother. This is
No,
a rough
no, you're
one.
not wrong. This one's like
It's crazy. I can't believe we're having this conversation, but we are.
this one. Like I'm trying to think how to. I thought Vanguard was still like Call of Duty search, but just horrific. This is like just not Call of Duty, sort of. But I prefer like casting and watching search on this more than Vanguard. But Vanguard felt like even more one dimensional than this to me, and I know
Why? How?
It just was like every map just was so one dimensional. It was just the maps last year. It just felt like
Well, like the maps were quick. The problem is like, dude, with the size of the maps, there was like no mid like round fights. I mean, it's kind of the same thing here, like except teams are waiting for Daddy. Like
I
it's
guess
pretty
it was
much
just
one
I
bomb
guess
and you're going.
yeah, and I guess maybe part of it too is like we know FaZe is like an excellent search team, and there's a lot going on with them last year, but seeing them like really not good at search was kind of weird. And just talking to them, it's just like some of the stuff they broke down in search that was just so bad. And, like now they're just back
Mate,
to being
they're on some insane streak right now, and probably the most inconsistent search team ever. So I think they just weren't playing. I think they weren't playing.
That might be it. But I guess I was just thinking to be that consistently good at search, like there's something to it. I guess maybe that's just what I'm putting my eggs in that basket. Like there must be more consistencies, like if they're able to like kind of get back to dominating in search. But I don't know. I listen. I haven't grinded rank like you, so like, I haven't played it and it got pissed off by it as much. I just know, like for whatever reason, I enjoy like watching this and commentating more than last year. It's dog
Well, I
shit.
think there's some slower moments because people have to wait for Daddy.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is. It's just maybe a little more fun for me to watch for moments like that, and like crazy clutches and stuff. But I just remember being miserable in search last year. Like Cassie, I don't feel that much this year.
Well, it was just nade spots because there was no trophies and you ran. Like you just ran. Like you just
yeah. I'm just talking about it from like a commentary POV. It just doesn't bug me as much.
Listen, man. Listen, I hear you.
I'm sure playing it is a whole different story. Yeah,
it's different, especially these maps, man. I'm telling you, it is. Shout out to the pros, but yeah, Surge. I mean, after 0-8 throughout stage two, a not great major two after getting a second place, potential team change. They go 4-1. They have some big wins, 3-0 over New York, their last match of the day. They do lose one series. They didn't have like the toughest schedule. I think when you look at this, when I say these three teams, Minnesota, Florida, London, you probably expect Surge to win. But again, it's kind of the way they did it. I mean, they were 4-1 in Search and Destroy. Still a really solid respawn team. But it feels like this team is back in business.
How big of a factor do you think like the Pred stuff was? Because it's like I guess I would kind of assume it had an impact. We don't know how realistic or how far the conversations went, but it had to have been a distraction to some degree, I'd imagine. But then at the same time, like you kind of saw them do the same thing last year. So it's like, I don't know how big of a factor it was. But to me, if like I took last year out of the picture and just talked about this year, it seems like they thought the team might be falling apart. They were kind of losing one of their superstars. People were distracted, didn't know what the hell was going to happen. It was hard to be 100% locked and focused on like event to event, match to match. And now like that is past, a month has gone by, you're kind of back on your bullshit. And it's not as simple as that, but sort of how it seems from the outside looking in.
I mean, I'm sure it had some impact, but if you look at their stats, they were still competitive in respawns throughout stage two.
Just Surge,
5-4 in hardpoint, 3-2 in control. They had a game 5 versus OpTic. I mean, they lost to Minnesota. They beat New York at stage 2. Like, I think there was still something there, but they were literally 0-8 in search.
Yeah.
And like, it's not like major 1 they had a great search either. They were just that much better, I think. They were like probably finding clutch kills, and they won like a big game 5 versus Thieves. Remember it at the first major in Raleigh. I don't know how much it had a because like it's OpTic, right? Like we didn't talk about that, but the roster changed because we didn't have a podcast then. But like I think it's a business, and these players understand it. Like if you get an offer to go play with OpTic, you just kind of have to you understand it. You have to understand it. Like we listen to some different podcasts, sports podcasts, and uh, it was the JJ Redick one, and he was talking to I forget who it was, but a player got traded to the Nets for Kevin Durant. And it's just the guy's like, listen, man, I got traded for KD. Like, I get it. Like, I understand what the organization wants to go win. And I think it's the same thing here. Like, okay, OpTic reached out, they want to get Pred. If the players get it, and there's still a really good chance after the season this happens, that goes through.
Yeah.
So I think yeah, maybe there was some there. Maybe they were frustrated and couldn't get back on sync, but they stuck together. They go 4-1, first seed, and I think a very good matchup versus Gorillas for them.
Well, yeah, a lot better than like the second one looks, that's for sure. But we'll get to that here shortly.
Yeah.
So Gorillas, they're able to sneak in. What was it? The big win over Vegas, right? Like Saturday?
Yeah, they beat Vegas.
And then
they needed some help.
And OpTic won, which I think was the big difference, right?
Yeah, FaZe needed to win for Vegas to get in, just based on like tiebreakers and whatnot. So FaZe or OpTic helped them out, but they get in at 2 and 3. They sneak into the 8th seed. I still don't know much. Like when I watch this team, they're very competitive still, right? They bring in the 3 academy players with RCDs. The first stage together was all about their hard point. How to get better at the other 2, which you kind of understand. But I think like if I'm watching a new team, and if there was sort of something you wanted to see them excel in, it would be hardpoint, right? Because it's sort of like we're beating some really good teams in hardpoint. The skill is there, the talent is there. That's sort of how we measure skill sometimes is through hardpoint.
Sort of always been a thing.
Yeah, like gun skill wise. But now it's the opposite. Throughout this stage, they got better at search and control, but really struggled in hardpoint here at 2 and 7. So I just don't know if they can't get on the same page. If maybe the first stage was a honeymoon period, I don't know.
Or it's just dude, we've seen this how many times over the years. Like you are a team that is good at hardpoint, so you're excelling there. So you put more time into the other 2 modes. You focus a little bit more on that in VOD review and working with the coaching staff. I don't know if that's the case here, but you put more focus into that, and then you start to fall off a little bit more in the other mode. I feel like I've had that. I've said that 1,000 times over the years. Like it's been.
I live through it. It happens sometimes. Yeah, you have like this big focal point, and the other part of your team kind of goes down.
I think it's just natural. It's hard. That's one thing. That's like, we just differ a lot from a lot of other esports, especially when you talk about like FPS, like a CS or something. I've heard CS players. They've talked about how you have to just have this map pool you're good at. It's almost impossible to be good at every single map. Like we have all these maps plus all these different modes. Like it's not realistic. And then they change. Like it's not realistic. You don't have enough time to be lights out at every map and mode combination. Like you don't. So I think that's just sort of the baseline. And then when you do want to put more time into focusing on something, it's just sort of natural that something else you lose a step. It's just is what it is. You have to find, typically, I think from what we've experienced for the most part, and I know it doesn't apply to every winner of every tournament all the time, but usually it comes down to balance. Typically, you're around 70%, like 2 modes, 50 in the other or something. Like you've got pretty good balance. And treading that line's tough. I'm sure it's real hard.
Yeah, and you still have some young players on this team, right? Just getting back in the league. Obviously, Assault's a world champion, Alex a world champion, but with Seed and Joe Deceives, sort of. I think they've been frustrated with some of their losses. They had a couple of Game 5 losses. I think they lost some really close respawns. This is still a very competitive team. I don't think it's an easy match for Surge at all, but I think Surge should win it.
The way they've been looking recently, and you kind of said like Mac being the X factor on land. Like I don't know what that guy. It feels like he needs something where he's either thrown up or frying at the event. But now when he hits that gear, like they're just that much more dangerous. And just watching recently, I heard some of the guys gassing him. Like, I was watching Seth's POV or what, but like Lamar's been playing pretty well too. Like, they kind of said it on there. Like, Lamar's just the kind of guy that it's just sort of this hive mind thing at this point. Like, you don't really point out when he's doing well. You just highlight when he gets shit on. And I've been guilty of giving him shit at times, like over the
Well, he's a
years.
sort of system guy. He knows what it
Yeah.
takes to win. He knows what his teammates need to do. And it's tough when you're the guy maybe not putting up the best stats, but you are asking the most out of your teammates, right? Like you're kind of critiquing them. And I think it was really nice. I think Sib and Pred both like tweeted a couple of weeks ago, like accuracy is one of the reasons why I am the player I am right now. So
He wouldn't
he
still be
gets
on
it.
this fucking team this long.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know how long this is going on. Like, if he was just dog shit, he wouldn't still be here. Like, it's as simple as that. But I just no, I saw just some maps he was playing really well, and yeah, sometimes it's just I'm guilty of it. Like, I just noticed the ones
Well,
where he goes negative 20, not the ones where he has a nice map again.
and when you're a player like him, it could be tough because you're trying to get your team. We talk about the system, right? Like you're the guy looking at the mini map all the time, making these calls, making sure we're doing this. If they aren't doing it, you get pissed off. You're focused elsewhere. You're not focused on like yourself. Sometimes you're trying to do too much, and that could be tough for like an in-game player. I've gone through situations like that where you're just like frustrated because your guys aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. What we talked about in practice and scrims leading up to the tournament, and then you're not in your spots or you're not winning a couple of gunfights, and it just kind of sucks.
Yeah, no, I'm sure.
Yeah.
You want to move on to the next one? Probably
Yeah.
our round one matchup. That's like, oh shit, here we go.
Yeah.
So FaZe Thieves. This had some credible matchups at the last major. We'll start talking about FaZe. I know they had
It's a
the
rematch
recent.
of your final.
Well, yeah, true. I know they have the recent loss to OpTic, but I literally texted Chris. I was like, "Good loss, bro," and he's like, "What?" I'm like, "Dude, it reminds your guys they're dog shit, and then also it lets OpTic think they're fine, which I don't know they are." So like, I was like, "Good loss, Chris." Going into the, you know what I mean? Like one of those losses, like not that big of a deal going into a major.
Yeah.
At
This
least
is
the way I
probably
see
the
it.
one matchup both of these teams didn't want. I think the goal for
Yeah,
both
yeah.
of these teams is to make the winners bracket. They just probably hope not to play each other. I really do. I think they're fine playing probably anyone else. But in a way, this is a bit of a rivalry now, right? If you look at like champs last year, we just had another grand final. But it's a tale of two different stories for this FaZe side. It's the S&D powerhouse. Their streak continues. I don't know what they're up to now, like 13
They're
or
13 or
14.
something somewhere in there.
It's
Yeah,
something stupid, but their hard point is still very average. And if you look at the final where they won 4-2, I think they lost both hard points. They won two searches and two controls. Um, and throughout stage three, they were 3-5 in hard point, 3-2 in control. They're gonna need to steal a respawn from this very strong Thieves team.
yeah. It seems to me just FaZe right now in hardpoint, it's like you can tell they know what to do because at times they really are. But it's like the little stuff you just like have to do. Then they just like don't. I don't want to say they're like tweaking or trolling
Hasn't
or
this
whatever the kids
always
are
been a
saying, but
thing
like
with this team?
it has. But it's like just these little moments where it's like, why do you challenge that fight or why'd you do this? And I guess I hoped, kind of like Alec was to the team early on, and now Slasher sort of is sort of kind of rallying in the idiots when he needs to. I guess I
But
figured it would help.
it's just like if they're like, someone gets 2 kills and they keep going, it's tough to control in the middle of the game.
No, it is 100%. But
One
it's
of these
still,
little demons gets hot. Like
it's
you're
still,
just
it's
like,
still the same shit though. It is. It really is
yeah,
just
I
like
know it.
like I'll watch it sometimes. And it's like why? And to be fair, that'll happen with like any team. It's hard to be
Sure.
perfect. It's just it's more obvious to me, I guess, watching them just because who they are and like what they've won and the level of talent that it's more frustrating at times to watch. It is.
I mean, we've been watching this for really since Cold War, right? Like with Chris as the coach. Well, even since MW, I feel like MW19, like with Chris as the coach, him talking to us, they just sometimes turn into just idiots in respawns. They're a great S&D team. And last year, that S&D wasn't there. Yes, they still got to all these finals, but it feels just like at some point something happens middle of the match. In I don't know if their brain turns off, if they get too hyped. We've talked about their comms. It feels like their comms are better this year, but there's still something that goes on in Hardpoint where they get a little mixed up.
Yeah, no. And I think you're right. Like in this matchup, it's going to be so big. And I like part of me hates seeing, as much as this is like, oh, what a cool round one matchup. Like I hate it because it's just probably the two favorites to win the whole thing. And
It is.
it reminds me of like old champs where like you'd have pool play and there some stupid fucking result in pool play. And then you'd
Yeah.
have this round one matchup where it's like, oh, great. What's the grand final round one? Sick. Or it just threw everything off. Is kind of what it feels like. And I think it goes back to my point. Like I know online results have not always been 1-to-1 with LAN. It hasn't been, but historically they've been pretty darn close. But right now it's a little weird. It just is, man, with like the audio stuff and just this particular title. I think you're right. They're happy to be here, but I just wish it wasn't this matchup. As much as I'd love to cast this matchup, it's just one of these teams and losers right away because they're losing to one of these teams. It's just kind of silly.
No doubt about it. But you know, Thieves did go from losers round one last major all the way through
Sure.
to the final. It's just not easy to do. There's a lot of talent in the league right now. Yeah, flex those muscles back there. Hey, make sure to stay hydrated, everybody, if you're listening.
I get some water. I get some water.
That's what Maven does best. He's got a water machine back there. But yeah, I mean, it's one off day, and you could potentially, you know, being losers, an off match, someone has it, and you're out of the tournament. But in terms of online, these guys did match up in stage 3. Thieves did win 1-3. They won all 3 respawns. Surprise, surprise. So let's focus now on the Thieves side. I think anytime this team makes winners bracket, they're happy. You know how this team is. Playing out of LA, I don't know. I'm sure it's difficult with some of these matchups. They're just, again, it's just they probably just didn't want this matchup.
Yeah, I saw. Again, it's how listen. Sam and I are boys, bro. I love Octane, but like his bitching about online has always killed me. And usually, like after he lose to a team years ago, and be like, "Oh, see you on LAN," I'd be like, I just want to be like, I've gotten to like literally a public arguments with him about this shit. I'm like, stop being a little mental bitch and toughen up. Like you just gotta focus up. But now, like, dude, when I saw like Thieves tweet afterwards, like, "See you on LAN," right now, it's sort of like, yeah, I bet you are feeling that way.
Well, there are world champs too, right? They have that coming. They just made a final. The problem is they lost the final to these guys. That's just, it's like see on LAN, but it's like round one, you have this matchup. I think for LA Thieves, again, 0-4. They lost four maps in the final, both controls, both searches. This is a team, I think if you compare it to last year, they got better every major. What did I tell you day one? Because you got in late. They lost the round one matchup, but I told you, you're like, give me a quick summary. And I was like, dude, they're close.
Yeah.
I literally said that to you. I said, Thieves are close. Like, I can just see it, the way they built their system and have built it in the past. And you can just kind of tell the machine it's getting oiled, right? It's getting lubed up.
Yeah,
and it was starting to roll.
I think it was like really, really obvious last year when it started to click because like no one had figured the game out at all, right? Last year, like when it came to hard point, like it just felt like no one could be consistent. And like when you saw it start to click for them, like it was just really, really obvious if you watched the mini map, like, all right, these guys get it. And maybe it's not like as obvious to like the average person now, but yeah, to your point, that's like the first thing you said to me. You're like, they're getting there. And then I was watching matches with you. I'm like, oh, I get it. Like,
they went from losers round one to final. I think maybe just run out. Yeah, it's a FaZe was hot. That you know, that final. Well, I mean, they won 4 maps, but yeah, I think they were close last major. Probably looking to try to win one here. I think if there's anything to focus on for them, it's get better at search, and that's what they did at the end of last year. Like after they won, they're in New York. Then we went to champs, and their search got so good at champs. So I think now probably a big focus is going to be on their search and destroy. It's just you're going up against the best search team of all time.
You gotta think. You got to think you're having like more confidence going into this than last major too, because last major, like you weren't even scrimming with your full squad going into it for the most part. You didn't have a lot of time with like Kenny, what he was going through with what was it, migraines or the dizziness? What I can't remember exactly, but something like that. But like he was. What dealing is it?
With where stuff. Like if you stand up, you feel dizzy? Vertigo. Yes. Yes. That's what he was dealing with.
So he was having like that, and they didn't really have like great reps going into it, and still. Had that run. Honestly, having to do the losers run might have helped him in that scenario. But I would think you're feeling far more confident going into this one. Just
Yeah.
The machine's
Just
been working together.
I mean, if you're listening, you're watching this matchup to me, I'm probably circling map number 3, the control, because again, FaZe, they won both of them in the final. Thieves, they won this one in stage 3. They won that matchup. I think FaZe is 100% capable of winning a hardpoint. I think Thieves is 100% capable of winning a search and destroy. But I think control is always the swing mode that we talk about when it comes between two really good teams.
And yeah, control's just it's interesting right now. Like here in Paris, I kind of talk about it, like why it's so tough. Even because if you're the top seed in a matchup, like you don't even feel you have that big of an advantage because it's either because Fortress control is so dog shit. It's like considered a gamble by most teams. It's like either you ban the gamble, and then that team is going to get to pick, or you ban that team's good map, and they're probably going to pick the gamble. So it's like having the advantage isn't even that like big of an advantage right now because of like that. Like Fortress control is just. I mean, I don't really. I know a lot of people complain about control, but I just am more realistic. I know how bad CTF. I mean, imagine CTF on this title. Jesus Christ! Like you're trying to run the flag.
I don't even know what maps we would play.
I had no idea. But like, I get the complaints. Like it's not perfect, 100%. But like Fortress is just. It's horrible. So it's just.
Well, what's more horrible? The fact that we're playing Fortress or the fact that we have to play Fortress?
The fact we have to.
I'm just saying, like, I'm making a point here. Like, I guess like the pros want to do this.
No, I know. But like, that's just hearing like kind of Parasite break that down, like how much like the map pool, especially with that regard, is just like it's like you're gambling. Like, are they going to pick the gamble or like if we ban the gamble, do they pick something we want to play? Like, it's tough. It really is. So control, yeah, weird spot. Anything else you want to add to those before we get on to the next one?
I don't think so. No, should be a great matchup. I mean, yeah, those two powerhouses. I think probably two of the favorites to win the thing, and they're matching up in round number 1.
Yeah. It's like I'm so torn. Like I love it, but I also just fucking hate it. All right.
So do the teams and losers.
Yeah.
Someone's got to play up losers round 1. Like, we get one match at the tournament. Oh, sick.
It just throws off the whole thing. It does when you have a matchup like that. So Boston versus OpTic. We can kick it off sort of talking about Boston. Like the Zinni buff, you know. Zinni, dude, that guy's been cracking me up. When I saw the breakdown and him in a blazer, I laughed for 30 minutes. Oh,
welcome to Sports Center.
Welcome to Sports Center. This is something, Zinni.
Yeah, the breakdown, baby.
Oh, dude, when I saw the blazers, I literally had tears in my eyes. I don't know, it just killed me. But I mean, Beans it's been awesome. His interviews have been great. I mean, he's had some disgusting plays. I know a tweet like yesterday, the day before from Sam, like Octane stood out to me. He was like, dude, he's like, you are evil or whatever for those 2 1v1s. Like I've never died like that. Like he's been frying. He's had some sensational plays, brought some personality. It's been cool to see. And well, they're 4-1, so that always works too.
Yeah, 4-1 second seed. They have some big wins. They beat Thieves. They beat Ultra. I think the thing always is with Boston Breach, they've had some good online stints. Yep. We've said this time and time again with this roster. I like Nero and Vivid. Awakening has been insane. I can't wait to watch Beans on LAN, but we need a good LAN performance. We need a top 3. I need to see more. And they are going into the pits of all pits. You're going to play the home team in winners round number 1. I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to play OpTic in round 1. It's just it's their home event, and we saw what happened last year at major number 1. Like these guys hit a different level playing in front of this crowd.
Yeah, they really did. I mean, I guess I don't really have much on Boston other than I guess I want to see if I think we've just this year you nailed it. Like they've looked good in the qualifiers. They've been hyped up towards the major. But I think just based on what were they like? I can't remember, it was a 4-1 or whatever going into major 1. They just like basically had double bopped out. Can't remember exactly how it went, but like it just they were nothing like they were online. Like with the change and now having Beans, is it going to change at all the performances here? Because I don't know if that was some sort of mental collapse or what was going on, what the shift was once you got the LAN, but we'll be better here. I mean, that's
Yeah, I think
I see that answer. That's all I really care about.
one thing I will say is it feels like even with Beans, they're getting more comfortable. I think like you saw even for him individually, he was just trying to find his way. He started off a little slow, but they still were winning, and then he's really stepped it up. And when you're coming from challengers, you have a lot of different perspective on the game. That's always what we sort of talked about when you bring in a challengers player. And I think Zinni was probably the leader if you were talking about this team. But Beans, I mean, it seems like he's very vocal, has no problem sort of telling people where to go, how to do things. And if he can get going, this guy's had some insane individual maps.
Well, I think just the attitude change with Zenny versus Beans has got to be huge for the team because this isn't something I'm like knocking Zenny for. Like I totally understand it, but like he talked about it himself, kind of during one of the watch parties. Like he's like, it wasn't fair to the team when I went from let's get one more scrim in, like hungry to like, do I want another scrim or do I want to go stream? Like once that sort of like enters your mind, it's not. He's like, it wasn't fair to me. It wasn't fair to them. I knew it was time to go, and I don't know how long he was like that for, but I imagine this decision's been weighing on him throughout the course of the year. I'm sure. And now you get someone who lost the appetite for that extra competitive itch, which I think you need to play at the highest level. Like you need that hunger. So I think Zenny kind of lost that. Now you have Beans, who's like the new guy, who is probably, how new players are when they get in the pro setting. They're hungrier than anyone. So I think that alone should help, personally. Like it should.
Yeah, I think just last thing that maybe take away for this team is very good in all, like very solid in all three game modes throughout the stage. 5-4 in hardpoint, 4-3 in search, and then 4-1 in control. So the one control map for them that they like to play is El Asilo. They're 3-0 on it. I assume OpTic. I mean, listen, if I'm talking about, they're probably going to veto that, or maybe they don't play that map
situation where you just see Fortress, bro. Like,
yeah. So yeah, it's just one of those situations. Probably not going to play that. Then it's you're going to play Fortress, which they do. They do play it. So maybe you'll see that in the control. But again, just solid in all three game modes. There's not a clear weakness here. It's just can they put it together on LAN over a course of 3 to 4 days?
Yeah, I guess the one thing I'll say, I don't know that, like, I mean, the two numbers you mentioned were outside of control, pretty close to like 50-50. So I don't know that that's enough that if you have a poor control weekend, that you're going to make much of a run. So
yeah,
where it's not exactly a weakness, it's not, they're kind of relying on the control a bit. I mean, that was the one
I think you're going the distance a bit in some of these series. You went to a couple of game fives or game four. The one just looking at the stats page, the one thing I noticed is Awakening has a 1.21 in hardpoint. The other three are the next up is 0.92 out of Beans, and then 0.77 from Vivid and 0.88 out of Nero. So like the slaying and hardpoint, Awakening probably needs some help.
You see the tweet from what did Vivid tweet last night? It was like the picture of Snell where the play that had like 28 minutes with 0.0 rebounds, 0 whatever. He tweeted that out. It was like the breaking point match because it was like everyone on the team was like +5 and he was -36.
Who was?
Vivid.
Okay, hey, listen, hey, a win's a win.
No, I know, but it was just so funny, bro. That picture always makes me laugh, dude. But,
unreal stat line. How do you even do that? What were you even doing for 28 minutes? I don't know.
Yeah, so I guess he got bodied a little bit in that
setting
one.
Picks, huh?
Yeah, I guess. All right, so Boston, I guess, we'll see how they'll do. I find myself just kind of rooting for Beans because his name's Beans. I gotta say the one thing that Nabel said the other day. It was horrible, dude. I'm watching. Somebody in his chat probably said it first, but bro, Nabel is one of the funniest players ever, and like he's playing with. I don't even remember who he's with, but he's like, guys, hold up. If Beans pops off in one map, but then like he gets cooked the next map, is he refried Beans? I hate that I laughed. I hate that I was dying. It's so dumb. It's so dumb, but
it's pretty dumb.
Yeah, I just had to repeat it because that's stupid. All right,
that's a dad joke, dude. I'm a dad. Like, come on. He's hitting that kind of levels right there,
dude. Unbelievable. Now, for OpTic, I mean, you bring in Ghost. Even there's been so much talk about that change. I mean, this is a kid that you won challengers. You were like the MVP of that leg. You like led the way in KD. I mean, the guy was absolutely frying, and a big part of why they brought him in here. And criticism is always going to be very fast and very insane when it comes to the OpTic side of things.
Even more so though after their last event, I think, is the other part of it.
Well, and
That's
Seth
difficult.
retiring. I mean, there's a lot going on just emotionally, I think, with like the fan base there.
I don't even think it's with Seth retiring because you had the roster already with Seth retiring. It's after the top 4 in
Yeah,
a
yeah,
very winnable series versus Thieves with Illy. I think that
yeah.
is I mean, we gotta talk about this. How these some of these situations, because we haven't had the pot, like, we haven't had really a chance to talk about this. Some of these roster situations.
Joe, when you break
Okay.
this down, I'm sprinting to the restroom. I'm so sorry.
What are you talking about? So
Dude.
we've had basically Dashy almost get dropped twice, then brought back to the team, then Rambo not a part of the team anymore, and then Illy not a part of the team, but very quickly after a top 4 situation at Major 2. And again, just some mistakes. And I guess I get the point of maybe they just felt like the slaying wasn't there. They needed a little bit more of an extra oomph on their side, like slaying wise, like something was just off. But this just seems not the OpTic way. Uh, they have never really gone after challenger players. They've always kind of stuck it out with this roster. But it was a very good major too, with the addition of Hook and bringing Dashy back, which was an emotional stage 2. And it just feels like a very odd sequence of events from this OpTic team where I guess like Dashy is now the captain of this ship. I mean, Dashy is now
Uh-oh.
the captain of this ship. Did you hear everything I said?
Yeah, yeah. That's why I had the
Okay.
Bluetooth. I heard it all. Yeah.
Okay. Dashy is now the captain of this ship, and the whole Ray thing, which is still just so odd to me. I will never, I don't think, understand it. But he obviously didn't want to deal with that. And he obviously probably didn't want to play with Illy. So now we're just going. We're just gung ho. And we bring in Ghosty.
Yeah, I mean, it's been the weirdest year for OpTic. Everything's been so odd. I guess I get. I've always been one that's felt like top 4 is great, whatever. If you don't think like you can actually win with a team and you are to the pedigree of like an OpTic, a FaZe, a Thieves, whatever, like if you don't feel like this team can win, you should make a change. And I'm guessing it was either that or there was more drama or personal issues internally with the team than maybe we realize with the early change. I don't know. We're not that close to it all. Um, so either there were some issues there, or they just really didn't think they could win with that team.
Which
I
which is
guess
fine, but like
I just don't know that like this change really solves any issues because like to steal it from Ray, I mean Ray, I know he's not there anymore, but he sort of said like we were making left stick mistakes. Like it's
yeah.
the decision making, it's the movement mistakes. And Ghosty,
That's what we talked about with FaZe at times, right? With these some of
yeah,
these guys. Like they just make some of these plays, they get going and they get locked in and yeah.
yeah, and I think that bringing in Ghosty, who with his performances in challengers and just the grind through challengers that it is, I am sure he, when it comes to how to play the game and where to be, like I you kind of have to be on point. Like when you're
Mhm.
going through that grind, you like have to be. So like I'm not really worried about it there with him. It'll just take him time to get comfortable in the system and everything. But like you still have the core problem for me, which is like you've got 3 other players on the team, which are all wildly talented, but they're all like what I see somebody say that made me laugh. Like, how you chasing red dots when there's no red dots? Like,
Are chasing gun sounds, bro. I don't know what to
yeah,
tell you.
yeah. Like it's players that want to ego chow things, that want to be flashy, that want to make the play, that want to do this, want to do that. Um, I don't know if this change will fix that, but I do think that Ghosty is he was getting a lot of flack I think right away. But it seems to me he's starting to get a little more comfortable in the system and everything. But
I think the
I
problem
don't
is
know.
I don't know if there is a system. Like I think
Well,
that's the issue here. No, I'm
yeah,
serious.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think that's
No,
the issue here.
yes. Okay, you're right.
Even
You're
the
right.
phase
I used the wrong word.
the phase match yesterday. If this team gets hot, they'll win. Like just like Major won last year, they got hot for a week. They were ahead. But I will say, just like gameplay wise, it did felt like they were just ahead of everyone Major won it in Vanguard. But like, I just think if they can make it to a Sunday, if Shotzi and Dashy and Hook all decide they want to be absolutely insane, they have a chance to win the event. I don't ever think, and I don't think a lot of the other teams in the league think that they're gonna like out strategize and out
Well,
maneuver them on the map.
No, I was in Damon's stream. I made this joke. I was like, bro, if this was like a more like strategic game, like where you had to be more disciplined, like if this was like Black Ops 2 and this team was playing Yebin, bro, they'd be hitting scrap right before church pop and wonder why they're down 200. Like they'd be in trouble, bro. Like they if this game was like Cold War or like a more traditional game, like they would be in trouble. At least that's how I view it. But like and it's not even to like knock the players exactly. Those players are what they
What
are.
they are.
It's just like if you have like one, maybe two of them, like what I'm talking about like with Dashi, Shotzi, and Hook. Like if you have one, maybe two of them on a squad, or like you think of like it was 5v5, but you think of like the Empire team when you had like a Clay and Trim there who were a little more
And an Illy. And an Illy, who I think was playing pretty systematic. Yeah.
Yeah. There has to be some balance. I just think when you have like three of them and it's in 44, it's like I just think it's always going to come down to like, are they hot in a given match, a given weekend? And you can win that way. I don't know that this team will ever be super consistent. That's how I view it. And I could be completely wrong. Those are just three players I've always kind of viewed as wildly talented, let them loose. But when you've got three fuckers you're letting loose,
yeah,
then suddenly it's just the chickens guy there. They're walking around.
Catch some chickens, dude. You can't catch them.
You know what I mean? Like it's a little.
It's just tough because like it just feels like on one side, like the fan base. Obviously, they're always a lot of fan base. Like it feels like they want like okay, let's talk about Major 2. Like somebody watching the ladder, just making sure those little things are sort of suited up. Like they want those little things suited up. But the guy who would probably suit those up is no longer the coach because the guys just kind of want to run around and take a lot of fights. And obviously, listen, they know the basics of the game. I'm not saying like that, but like there's some little nuances that may not get picked up here or there that a team like Thieves or FaZe or New York, how they won Major 1, is probably doing. So you just kind of have to deal with it. Like just understand like that play's probably not going to be made.
I would just, if I was like a fan of them right now, I'd just be like, there's going to be ups and downs, bro. It's going to be all over the place. It's just, they're going to be this weekend in front of the home crowd. They might go win the whole fucking thing. It's possible. Like it's like, I'm not even trying to like talk shit or bring them down. It's just,
I'm not either.
It is what it is. Like, that's just the players in the team that you have. It's going to be something where you live and die kind of by how streaky they are probably. But
I mean, listen to this, babe. They won in game 5, then they got 0-3'd, then they got 3-0'd, then they got 0-3'd. And then yesterday they just decided to wake up, and I think Shotzi dropped like a 1.4 or something over the series against FaZe. Like he just took over.
And that little breakdown is kind of how that's how it's just gonna go. That's just how it's gonna go.
That's how it's gonna go. And maybe with more time,
enjoy the good times and deal with the bad times.
Maybe Ghosty gets more comfortable, or maybe similar to Illy, he's just kind of like, I'm being left out on an island here in some really tough spots, and I'm probably gonna get shit on. So I'm just gonna try to win some gunfights.
Yeah.
Oh, it's been a crazy year for them. But I think they obviously had a huge win over FaZe to get to the winners bracket. That would have sucked for them to start in losers. To be at your major starting in losers round 1 would not have been fun. But they get to winners round 1, and I think a matchup which with having the home crowd, they have the advantage.
Yeah, it's just it feels weird to like be negative about them because dude, when you and I have talked over the years of like POVs we love to watch, right? Like Hook's one of those POVs. Like it's just different, bro. When you watch it, Shotzi, another one. It's just different when you watch it. Dashi, like it is just a POV you watch and you're like, I know who it is. I don't even need the name there. They are twisted, but it's just a lot of that.
There's a lot of it, yeah.
It's just
a lot of it for sure. It is for sure.
All right, well, we'll see how they do. It's gonna be an interesting weekend, that's for sure. We'll see if they ride the high of the home crowd. On next to Ultra versus NYSL. Ultra. So you kind of put like surprising roster change with Hixie. And I think this is probably one of those things that sort of like I said with OpTic, like I think with any team, if you are the caliber of a squad that thinks you are close to being able to win, but you don't have the team to actually win, you make a change. And I'm guessing it was something like that, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, you would assume so. I think it was a bit of a surprise to everybody just because Ultra has been sort of very consistent this year. They were a top 3, top 4 team going into both the majors. Very good qualifiers. You obviously had Scrappy, who's turned into, you know, a superstar. A lot of people are fans of this guy and what he's doing, or they you can't wait to yell at him on land, like he was saying, "Bring the smoke at the major." And
He's the
yeah,
North
the
American
Optic
player. I
fan.
don't know how long he's going to last on this team, Joe. 'Cause
No, but I mean, he played with Hixie. I think that was another part of it in challengers.
Yeah.
Was comfortable with him, but I think they probably felt, at least I would assume, this change is going to take them to another level, or at least that's what they're hoping for a chance to win the event.
And yeah, because you kind of nailed it. Like I know they had, early on with the Ultra team, like, they kind of had that whole boy band thing going where you had multiple teams and so many players and just kind of slot anybody in. But like once they sort of got comfortable outside, like, does any change? Yeah, they've been just pretty consistent. Always that team that's hard to put away. Always a team that's probably going to push you to a game 5. Pretty solid across modes. Yeah, I think the change is a bit surprising. But dude, the funniest thing I saw the other day, I think someone shared it in the talent chat. Did you see the tweet? It was it was somebody. Somebody tweeted the ultra roster looks like
Oh, they all look just like the same.
like a witness had to basically give their breakdown of what a person looked like. There was 4 different sketch artists that had to draw the person.
I think if they got an ancestry test, they might all somehow years and years ago come from the same family line or something like that. It's the same origin. They might all be from the same area. They all got the glasses, the same hair, dude. They do look like a boy band. They are a squad. They have chemistry inside the game and outside the game. That is for sure.
Did you see what on the breakdown, the interview with
No,
I mean, it looked like he was on the moon. He might have been on the moon, bro. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know where he was because it was entirely dark.
Actually, I think I did because you told me to tune in and like look at them in the Blazers. I think they were giving him an interview, but he had the city skyline behind him. Yeah, it was dope. It was dope. But yeah, he looked like he was a WWE superstar or something, dude. Just so like
so funny, bro.
An evil being. But I mean, if you look at the qualifiers, I think one thing that probably stands out, like Hixie didn't have the best individual numbers, but I tell you who really played well is Kleenex. Like that was a story from day one. He was putting up insane numbers, and maybe him and Standy didn't. Maybe he wasn't too comfortable with Standy, but maybe now with Hixie's like, dude, go do whatever the hell you want. Like I'll just kind of fill in for lanes because we know the type of player Kleenex is. He's very quick. When he's on, he's killing everybody.
But did you hear the Standy like kind of breaking things down? I don't remember what that was on. Who was on the flanker where I heard him talk about it, but he said like if you didn't hear it, it was just sort of like whatever match before he was dropped. Like they lost it. I guess he had a bad series, wasn't feeling well, something like that. And like he said to the guys after him, like, my bad, dude, that's on me. And like they all just like walked out and he just sat there by himself.
No one said it was happening.
No one said a word to him, and then like the next day he got a call in with the coaches or whatever. It was like something like that. Like it sounded so awkward, dude. So it was one of those things that
a guy attended his own funeral. That's what you're telling me.
Yes, that's what it sounded like, bro.
Understood.
Like, yeah, I mean, assuming how he broke it down was correct.
Yeah, and maybe this is something that was building up from the majors. So yeah, just from major 1 and major 2. Like again, they had some really solid qualifiers. Were one of the favorites going into both those, and maybe they were just kind of sick of it. Like, hey. And that's always the thing with the Ultra teams. They've done it before, as you said, with Insight. They've had really good players. They've built from within their organization. And Hixie was just up next.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm kind of excited just to see how they do with this event. Should be fun to watch. And now NYSL are like, God, I was texting you or talking about this last night. Like it's sort of. I don't want to say it's exactly sort of like how I was breaking down the OpTic thing because it's not, but it's like I know that Sky's gonna like go out and get his. He's a very talented main AR. This is a guy that has like put up a 1.2 for years, even when he was on teams that weren't great. Like he is consistently gonna get his kills. Hydra, I don't know if he's always gonna necessarily be in the right place, but I know he's gonna run around and fry because he is just insanely talented and fun to watch. And it just sort of comes down to like Priest and Kismet. Like, am I going to get the Kismet that is probably barking at everybody on the main stage, like making every right decision, just hammering through everyone? Am I going to get the Priest that is just on point and looks like one of the best players in the game? Or I get the Priest for the past couple of years that's been a little 50-50. And it's got to be hard to be those two players sometimes maybe when you play with I don't even know how to describe, like, just sort of like the Hydra sort of falls into that bucket of where I was talking about like Hook and Shotzi and stuff. Just like he's gonna go out
Yeah.
and fry, like let him loose, right? Um, so it's just I don't know if it's a thing where it just kind of clicks that match or whether those two are gonna step it up. I don't know, but that's like kind of what it
Well,
comes down to me. Like I feel like a Priest thing, kids didn't play well, they can win the event.
well, I think the big thing is right. Major two was just not a good major. I mean, their qualifiers going into like after stage one, they were 2-2. After stage two, they were 3-2. After this qualifier, they're 3-2. I think it's another team. They're just trying to get to winners bracket, right? Start there. They feel they have an opportunity to win the event if they're there. I think it's just
Sure, yeah,
if you look at major two, I don't think it's the best excuse, but there were a lot of travel delays. They got in really late. Like they didn't have luggage. They had to play the first match the first day.
were they a team that like didn't even get to scrim before their first match
I think so. Like something like that. Like they
or
got in really
something?
late. But the fact is like it felt like mentally they were a bit unchecked. And it just wasn't their weekend at major two. Now there's probably a lot of people who are like, listen, they got there on time. They had the opportunity to warm up. They had their stuff. Doesn't really matter. But because they won major one, I'll let it slide. Okay. I'm cool with it. I think they have to come out strong here. My only worrisome right now is their respawns are struggling a bit. They're 2-4 in hardpoint throughout this qualifier, 3-2 in control. When they won the major, they were 7-1 in control on major number one. And if you look at their last four matches, they got smoked by Seattle, but they smoked OpTic 3-0. Right? It's 0-3, 3-0, 0-3. They got smoked by Ultra. So this is a strong rematch for Ultra. And then they smoked Florida. So it's like either this team is winning map ones and turning that into a series win, or they're losing map one and they're getting fried.
Does it feel like no, I guess it's not true. I was gonna say like outside of like Thieves and FaZe, like at least the I don't know. It's like is it the title? I mean, it's kind of been like this for the last couple of years. Like there's just not a ton of consistently. It just feels like who's gonna get hot, like who plays good on a weekend.
I mean, that's kind of
It's
been the
just
league. I mean, it was
it
this
could
way
just be
last year.
parity, more parity in the league. Yeah, with just
Yeah, I think for sure. You have an
yeah,
off day and you're going to get destroyed. I think
yeah,
besides FaZe last year, there was a different team in the final all the time, right?
yeah. This
I
feels
think
like
that
this
it's
trend
just
of sort of
that.
like who's gonna get hot type thing. And yeah,
Well,
I don't know if that's I don't know if
I don't
that's
think the game helps,
it's probably a
but
combination of the
you do
game and
have
the
to get a
competition.
props to the league. Yes, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah. Nah, it's kind of nuts just how it feels that way. Like dude, the last two whatever like breaking point things I'm doing predictions. I've won them. I'm like I couldn't tell you what I'm doing. I'm just picking stuff because I don't.
We've won them. We've won them.
Yeah, that's right. I use half of your
We
brain.
yeah,
Okay,
we've won them.
75% of your brain.
We've won
Um,
them.
yeah.
But you are on back to back, so props to you.
I don't know how I'm doing this. I know I got all three wrong yesterday, or oh yeah, Sunday's matches.
Yeah,
It
something
doesn't make
different.
sense to me. I don't know what's going on.
But
Um,
I think for this match for both of these teams is huge because I think both of these teams are in really similar situations where probably just trying to get back on track in a winners round win matchup here. It just kind of gets that momentum where New York doesn't want to go to losers round one again at the start of a major. Ultra with a new roster is trying to get the train going.
it's just it's similar almost to. I mean, I know it's different than maybe it's definitely different than FaZe and Thieves, but this is probably this is the other matchup where I think maybe both these teams could make a run and win the whole thing. So
Mhm.
yeah, like winning this could be just massive to the confidence to propelling you forward to get you a good spot versus like going to losers and who the hell knows what you're dealing with. Yeah, it's a big one for sure. I know you could argue like everybody can win it, but I guess when I look at it,
I don't
this
know
is
about
the
that.
this
I don't think you
well,
could argue that.
I mean like when no, I guess you couldn't, but like
I
in
think
winners,
Ultra in New York were two of the teams going to major one and major two that people said could potentially win it,
yeah,
and they had chances. And it's probably the same thing here. I think you
yeah,
can make the
yeah.
argument with what we've seen throughout the year.
I think that's the best like round one matchup, like the toughest one after FaZe Thieves. Like it
Yeah, I agree.
that should be good for sure. Let's talk some of the teams losers bracket. Rokkr, dude. I remember watching them
Yeah.
back at the major and thinking they were turning a corner. I know
It was
I
the
have a
breakdown. It was that game five breakdown, dude.
I have a lot of like love for this team, like the players on it. It seemed like something was like starting to click, and the conversation I've heard go on the flank, or that's the one I heard it the most, I guess, with kind of Parasite and Ben going back and forth, was just sort of like Ben was like, I would blow this thing up right now, maybe bring in a
I don't know
challengers
about
player.
that.
No, I mean, and that was sort of his point. I blow it up like every 10 points is important. You don't think this team has a chance to do anything the way you're playing right now. And Parasite was sort of like, that's just idiotic. You bring in somebody that has no time or a chance to learn to play with these guys, like that makes no sense to try and do that. But all all of them kind of felt like, unless you're getting like a top 3, you're changing after this event.
Really?
It's sort of how they were feeling, yeah. But like this,
Hmm.
the part that I don't know, I just don't know if this is like how many times have we seen this with like Surge? Like you look good in an event, then you have a really rough qualifier. You have like this up and down sort of thing. We saw a Surge a lot. Like maybe Rokkr are going through that, or maybe this team is just dead to rights. I don't know.
It could be. I mean, listen. The reason I would be surprised by those arguments is they literally choked that winners final versus Fate. You and I casted that hotel. What was it, like 5-2, 5-3? They were up. They were up a couple of rounds, one round away from winning that map 5 and being in a final. And then after that, since that game 5 loss, they've lost all the matches in a row. So if this team is mentally broken, it's from that moment. But in
Yeah,
terms
good
of the
point.
squad as a whole, like they were literally a round away from being a top 2 team last stage. So like
Yeah,
it's
that's
tough for me to say blow it up, but like they could be mentally in the blender. For sure. It is just surprising after a T3, almost getting a top 2, that you go 0-5. But they did play New York, Seattle, Texas, and Thieves. Okay. Those are 4 really good teams.
but you've just been sort of shit on is the problem. Like it's not even like
Yeah,
they just
you're not wrong. They had a
they
couple
haven't
of game
been.
5 losses, but
It just hasn't really looked like they're a team that can beat anyone. But I mean, I guess I'm with you just because we've seen this with other squads. Like, I guess I think the talent is there; they could turn it around. But I don't know how far past that point is. I mean, for all we know, it's already in the stages of like 2 players talking behind 2 other players back and who they want to get. Like, we don't know how far it's gone. Like once that starts, I mean, you're kind of fucked. I think like you've
well, I
probably
think
been in the midst of when
the
teams are
issue
trying to change
here
and all that gossip and shit starts. Like
the issue here, Maeve, is the investment, right? I mean, we talked about it
the beginning,
the
yeah.
end of
You
last
spent
year going into
for this
this
team.
year. This
Yeah.
was a roster that Rokkr went all out for. With the Cammy and Vance duo, the success that they had with Ultra, Afro sort of the rising star, and then attached with the main AR year that he had. It kind of felt like these guys could go wherever they wanted or had a lot of opportunities to, and they picked this organization. I think that's really the problem. It's like, is there budget for it? Like maybe you get a minimum challengers player, but that's probably it.
Or if
Maybe
you can shred one of your contracts that you paid a lot on. But like what's
I don't
weird
know
though
how it
is like
works. Yeah,
Ben Bance had that stretch where he was like a god. He was playing incredible. Afro has had moments where he's really taken over that we've seen. And it's just weird that 2 players that are typically very consistent, like Attach and Cammy, like with ARs, like they haven't really been themselves, I guess. Like I
yeah.
know Cammy had like that breakout year, and he wasn't exactly the same player last year. He didn't dominate like he did in MW 2019. But Attach has been pretty consistent his entire career. At least just from like if we're talking purely as like KD standpoint, like he's been good, but they like haven't been. And
Yeah, it's a little bit worrisome for sure. I just don't know what other options there are, and we're already at Major 3. Like it's just tough. You can't really experiment another stage, and then the
well, you just
pressure's on
can't
because this is also the 8th seed, right? Like
exactly. Oh, and an 0-5 kills you, man. Like you're hitting 0 points. Like you need anything now. Like if you walk in and get double bopped out of the sorry, not double bopped, you're the losers. You
well,
just go
that
in and get
I mean,
bopped.
if I look at this correctly, right? They play the loser of FaZe Thieves. I think it's just a straight drop down, which
I thought
that
it flipped,
sucks.
or is that not still a
I think that's the next one.
is that the next one? Dude, that's the part that always confuses me when like the flip happens.
I'll go
Like
look at Major 2 to double check, but I think it's a straight drop down.
no, you might be right. Brackets always
Yeah,
give me a headache.
yeah, it's a straight drop down,
Yeah.
which that's really the problem here is you're playing one of them. So this might be an early exit. Okay. But
Yeah.
if you win, if you beat one of them, maybe it's the return. Maybe it's the return.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the return.
Yeah. It's just another one of those teams that I kind of find myself like liking and rooting for. They're just in it right now.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at their qualifiers, like 0-7 in search, 1-4 in control. This is a team that I think that should be pretty darn good at both of those.
You would think, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about Vegas a little bit. Vegas, I can't remember who I heard say it, but they were sort of like, I think feel for Vegas because it felt like they were playing well enough to be in winners, and now they're just not. Like you felt they were playing better than maybe like Gorillas.
Mhm.
They're playing people tougher, and then they just what? What was the match? Was it Gorillas they lost to that killed
They
them?
lost to Gorillas, yeah. They
Yeah,
lost to
that was the
Gorillas,
one
and then FaZe
killed them.
didn't beat OpTic. So
And it's still a team that you know, it can be great in search and have their moments in the respawns, but I guess I want the more I say this, the more I guess I'm pulling for everyone. But like Vegas is still a team too, just with like their historic record. Now you've got Clay and Tip and TJ. I just want to like see them do well and want to see them make a run. And it's just, dude, starting in losers is just it's always going to be so hard. It is.
yeah, I mean they added 2 real for pro loot. And we saw a little bit of 2 real last year with Florida for a brief stint. Wasn't like the best stint. Um, he's had some pretty nutty plays like that double wall bang, search and
I was
destroy.
just about to ask you, did you see that? Because that was
Yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah.
Obviously you're just lining that up.
Well, I guess he said like in VOD review they went back and watched the spots they hold.
Yeah, he's sitting
and,
those same spots, those same corners.
but like live, I was like, hold the fuck up. What?
But I mean,
It looked
what was the
insane.
issue with this team going in sort of before the change was the respawns. It's still there. I mean, a little bit better in hardpoint, 4-6 in hardpoint, 1-4 in control. Their best mode is still search and destroy. I mean, listen, there's a chance they play like a Gorillas. If Surge beat them in losers round 1, maybe they could get going. They are playing competitively. I think this was a better qualifier for them, but I think they're pissed off because it was in their hands to get their first winners bracket start versus a Gorillas team. And
Yeah.
I think it was Theory maybe said it. It's like we have to be able to beat Gorillas if we want to start in winners.
Yeah.
And they just didn't. I mean, they had the opportunity to, but Gorillas beat them 3-1.
Yeah, I guess it just felt weird because to that point, like you just felt like they were going to get into winners and they sort of deserved it the way they were playing, and then just that one series, just like nope. Well, there you
Yeah,
go.
it just always sucks starting and losing round 1, right? I mean, because you have one match and it's a potential really tough matchup depending on who drops down. It's tough to get momentum going. You would much rather start in winners. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine. You see the frustrations on social and stuff. Just starting losers is tough, but that's what I mean. That's what puts important. Like part of me like likes that it's a thing because it made that Gorillas versus the match very big. It puts importance on the qualifier matchers. It's just frustrating that it's online and the current state of the game is what it is. But I mean, I like that it adds to it, but just tough.
Yeah, I mean, some teams have gone up and some have gone down and some have stayed up. And unfortunately, you've also had some stay down. And they're just one of the teams that has consistently stayed down. So.
Yeah. What about London? Anything you want to add to that?
I think, listen, man, the role change with Nasty. Nasty had a really good stage. He seems more comfortable. Paul has been able to run sort of anything since we've seen him, AR or sub. He can kind of do it all. I think that this team is getting better. They have a 3-2 victory over Ultra. They have some game 5 losses. It feels like maybe we finally have the 4. Maybe we finally have the roles, and we are getting to be a more competitive team. I'm very excited for this Ultra team or for this London team. Maybe they can keep it going. Just can you build some momentum up, right? Keep it
Just
going
kind of
into
feeling
the,
like
the
at
major.
least you're going up.
It feels like you're
seeing
there.
enough
If
improvements,
you're
yeah.
competing, even the FaZe 3-0, I think it was like the closest 3-0 that we have had all year. Like it was like a 1-point search, a 1 round in control, a 1 round in search and destroy. They're competing. So I think it's good to see. It's just a question of it. I don't think it's too late yet, but if they don't win a match or 2 here, they really have to pop off in 4 and 5. But
Yeah,
we're there. We're competing. We're competing because earlier this year they were not competing.
is it weird to you like just that we're even talking about like the pressure of champs because the timetable, like because we started earlier, and maybe it's
Okay,
because
they
you
have
and I are
40 points. Yeah, the timetable's here. Okay, yeah,
yeah,
they're down behind 70. Yeah, I didn't. Whew.
I mean, because you and I, like, maybe it's just because we do the majors only, or maybe it's just because the league started 2 months earlier. But like, it's March, and like hearing you talk about like pressure for champs is
I
fucking
mean,
weird.
we're over halfway, if you
I know, but
consider
it's
it, or like
fucking
right
weird.
around
It's weird,
halfway.
bro. It's the
No,
first
you're
week of
not
March. It's
wrong.
just weird.
Yeah, you're not wrong at all.
Usually having champs in August and stuff, like we're basically we're in like week 3. Or
Yeah,
something now, like we
yeah,
just
we're
got
like
rolling.
maybe the first major it just happened. Stage 2 starting.
Yeah, I think that just combined with the fact that we just did the majors, like it just feels, I don't know, it's like Twilight Zone that we're even like this deep in talking about it. But
Yeah, it's just
there,
hopefully they can now build momentum off of this and maybe win a couple of matches here because they need to if they want to get into it. I mean, I didn't realize they're behind 70 points and like your 6th, 7th, 8th seeds who all have 110 are Boston, Seattle, and Rokkr, right? And kind of the question that we always talk about is who do you maybe see falling down from that? Boston with Beans is looking good and they're winning online, right? Seattle's seems to be back. And then you have 8th seed Minnesota, who again just got top 3. So but now they're on 5. So like maybe there's one team there that they could potentially catch up to, but they gotta go.
you're praying for like a Rokkr continued collapse, I guess, right now. Like,
That's it. Yeah, that's really it.
yeah, I actually didn't realize they were like that far back already. It's just still weird to me, like how deep we are in this. But here we go. You ready to fly to Dallas and hang out with me, dude?
Yeah, we talk Florida at all? Did I talk Florida? Forgot about the Mutineers.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were they on there and I just scrolled over them?
I don't know.
I honestly was going through just the list and I just don't think they were there. So I just like hopped through it. What do you want to add on the Florida side? I'm sorry,
Well,
Florida.
I mean,
Please forgive me.
I mean, they obviously had the additions of Capsule and Fellow. They go 1-4. Another team, I think, similar to London. That's just like you're trying to find a roster. And I think what sucks is like if you look at MW19, like when this team had some success, it was just sort of we made a roster change and we got better. And they were really good at like sort of picking up challengers' talent and it working. It has not worked for them since.
Yeah, I mean, before or after the change, I think the one thing kind of everyone sort of saw was that they weren't going to put a ton of money into a roster. They were going to see what they can make work. Like it's some fucking moneyball situation. Um, yeah, it hasn't. I mean, sometimes listen, when you are grabbing challengers players or up and comers or just you find the right special mix of players, like it'll work out. But like I think at the end of the day, same in most sports, like it's superstar leagues, like you usually need some super talented player or players to really have a chance to win.
Yeah, and they
And
had some like top 6s or top 8s throughout the majors last year, but like you also had Skies and Awakening, right? Like that's
yeah,
that
exactly.
you
Yes,
had your superstars.
exactly. And I know they didn't get maybe the results they wanted with those, but like sometimes it's I don't know. Like there are teams that perform without that. We've seen it in different esports or sports, but it's just pretty rare. Like usually you
Yeah.
just you have to have like the base talent. And it didn't seem like they were going to really invest in that. And you know, I'm not trying to just like downplay the guys they have, but like they aren't guys on top contracts, like top players necessarily. So it's just going to be hard. It is. There's no way around it.
Yeah, I think Havoc has really stepped up. I mean, he's been playing a ton of ranked. I've ran into him on Hydro, running water flanks. I hate
Yeah, I
it, but
saw it.
it's annoying. But he's been playing really well. I'm happy to see Fellow back in the league. I really am. He's worked his way. He's basically had to like transform himself as a player, like after sort of Cold War being on Empire. Um,
He's way more calm now, bro. Just
there's
like
like different iterations. Main AR Fellow, like when
you
we used
remember
to
listening with
sub
him in the past, bro. Like
Twisted.
oh my god, I remember. I'll never forget. What was it? Was it first OpTic like evac where he had
Yep.
like the
Game
13
one.
or 15 spree or whatever? Like
Yeah.
guys just twisted out of his mind, seeing the future, and now he's just yeah, he's toned it down a lot, playing different roles and stuff. But now I always find myself rooting for Fellow because he's just I don't know. He's guy's been in the top, been in the trenches, just been plugging along forever, and I'd love to see him find some success here, but it's just tough. I mean, the league is just insanely competitive.
Yeah, it's just is this the four? Are they gonna just work this one out? Do they feel comfortable with Brad Cap, Fellow, and Havoc? I mean, you have a game 5 loss versus LAG, you have a win over Boston. Besides that, you've kind of gotten smoked by FaZe, New York, and Surge this stage. It looks like you're gonna be playing Ultra or NYSL loses round 1. I don't know. We'll see what happens before because they're another team similar to London who's they've just been hanging out down there. Been hanging out. It's their home right now.
I mean, you're gonna have. Listen, especially I think we all sort of root for in any major sport to some degree, unless you're like a fan of a team, is when you look at major sports with like salary caps and like a draft out of college, like you want parity in the league, right? And I think you've seen a bit in the NFL lately, but it's kind of been like stud quarterbacks on their rookie deals. But like the NBA is a good example right now. Like the NBA is like 50-50 across the board. Like the superstars are kind of spread out. Like I know there's been injuries and stuff,
incredible.
but
Yeah,
it's pretty incredible, right? Like that's what you want, is that parity.
Mhm.
But like, I mean, we don't really have that. Like you go after players, there are like contract minimums. You're not like drafting out of college or anything. So like it's just there always are going to be teams that are at the bottom. It's just
well, I mean, Call of Duty is just so tight. Title change. You go for younger players and the title changes, and you have no idea what's going to happen next year, right?
yeah,
That's
it's they're
it's
just
tough.
they're just
It's tough to rebuild. They're in the rebuild phase.
It is. But that just made me start thinking about the NBA. Dude, it is fucking crazy right now, huh? Like I wasn't even like that much into it. Like now, the more I'm like started following it, like, this is nuts.
Yeah, there's like 10 teams. Who knows?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, anything you want to add? Oh, well, I guess we can say. So how many episodes did we do last season?
Oh, it was like 10.
Was it 10?
Somewhere around there.
One of the big things, Joe and I want to do, and even the production team and the Ultra side working with this, is we want it to be more consistent show. Because we like doing it, and you guys hopefully like watching it. But I believe now we're doing 24, so we're gonna have a lot more to bring you in throughout the season. It should be like a weekly thing going on the rest of the way. I want to get started earlier, but it's sort of with wanting to do more episodes, get everything figured out. But yeah, there should be a lot more of us. And then you'll see us at the major, obviously, as Joe gets headed out to Dallas. But
Gotta fly tomorrow.
You look good. You streaming in the morning?
Yeah, probably for a little bit, and then just hanging out with kiddo, getting ready to fly, travel. Got to pack, do laundry. Should probably do that.
I don't do anything. I'm ready.
I was talking to Mo. It's like I can't even believe it's a major already. I don't even know. Like,
well, I think it's because the last between 1 and 2, there was like a 3-week break between matches or something. This one got right into it.
Yeah,
I think is why it felt faster.
But she was like, "When do you leave next?" And I was like, "I think I leave next week." I do.
Well, probably your life is probably a whirlwind too, like with Theo and
just
stuff.
Day to day, baby. Just goes. You're just flying through. We're flying. We are flying, baby.
Well, I think that's going to wrap it. Thank you for everybody that watched. This is the Toronto Ultra Merk and Maven podcast. This is season 2, episode 1, and we'll have more to bring you. The next episode will be after the major, as we'll be recapping that. We'll probably end up filming that like Tuesday after the major, probably be out Wednesday, something along those lines. But we love you all. Have a very sexy evening. Take care, and we look forward to the major.